Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip, and I want to do a quick video on the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, and some important updates. Two main things I'm going to talk about. One is forgiveness of the PPP, some new guidance that has come out, and some questions that still remain that we hope we'll have answers to this week from the Treasury and the Paycheck Protection Program. If you haven't gotten it yet, or you have, I'm going to go over the 5 forms that your lender or bank should have you sign and should be sending you as part of the final step to getting your PPP approved and getting the money wired to your bank account. Okay, so let's dive in. It's Monday, May 18th. I hope you all are doing well, staying safe. Thanks so much for so many of the great comments and subscribing to our channel. It really means so much. I mentioned over the weekend we will be doing videos every day this week, so stay tuned and please subscribe. Okay, first I'm going to talk about the latest news on forgiveness before I get into the forms real quick. So the SBA has issued new forgiveness guidance and a few new rules. This is mainly relevant for companies that have taken over 2 million. Okay, so if you've taken less than 2 million, the SBA is basically going to assume you took it in good faith. By the same token, the news is today is the last day to return PPP loans. So this is really geared towards the big companies that didn't need the money. Today is the last day if they want to give them back, and hundreds of millions of dollars has been given back. A lot of this is the public pressure to say, hey, you don't need this. Actually, small businesses struggling need this much more than public companies. So that's today. And it's been good news that a lot of the companies have given back the loans. But jumping back to the new rules, okay. So this is generally what we've seen, and I'm going to do a longer video about this later this week because we do expect that the SBA will issue more guidance, in particular when it comes to this 8-week rule. This is the biggest question we're getting. Like, you've gotten the money, you had it wired last week, 3 weeks ago, but you're told that you have to spend it in 8 weeks on employees to get it forgiven, and that's creating a lot of confusion. We've heard everything from people hiring people for 5 hours a week to pay them to get the loan forgiven, or people just holding on to the money and basically deciding who they want to bring back and when, because a 1% loan is still a great loan. So, and the latter is frankly seems like a good option. If you decide that you can't get 100% of your PPP forgiven, again, it can be partially forgiven, or you can just take it as 1% loan. So those are things to keep in mind. And last thing on our blog, of course, the helloskip.com/blog, we still have a list of banks and lenders that are accepting PPP applications. So, if you haven't applied, there's still money in the pot, which is the surprising piece. So still consider it as a good option for you if you are interested in the PPP. Now, let me get into the forms here. So many of you are familiar with this. This is the first form I'm going to go over, the first of 5, the Paycheck Protection Borrower Application Form. This was put out by the SBA, and this is the basic calculation form where you calculate your average monthly payroll and 2.5 times it, with some other criteria to get to the number of the loan amount that you can request. Okay, and you basically sign this, and this is part of the submitted packet that your lender gets. Okay, and then let's say your lender is able to get a loan number from the SBA. That's always the trick, that your lender or bank needs to get a loan number from the SBA in order to issue you the loan, the PPP loan. So the second is a settlement sheet, SBA Form 1050. So The purpose of this form, as it says, is to verify that loan proceeds have been disbursed in accordance with the authorization and to document the borrower's contribution that's been injected to the business. So I'm going to show you what it looks like here. But it's fairly straightforward. I mean, there's nothing really surprising in these forms. It's just good for you to see what to expect if you're still waiting. So this is the U.S. Small Business Settlement Sheet. Again, you would have a loan number here, lender name, and the lender would put in their FERS number, and then the SBA loan name and the loan amount. So those would all be here. And the loan term, and then any other type of, what you indicated you'll be using it for. Okay, since most of this is for payroll, most often it is for working capital. Okay, and of course, if the borrower, in this case, the borrower isn't putting in money, but if they were injecting any money into the loan, it would be added here as well. So, just a settlement sheet. For record keeping, pretty straightforward. Now, and then there is the borrower resolution. This is between you and the lender to basically certify the terms of the loan, the principal, the loan date, the loan number, the account, and that you are authorizing, or you or whoever as a officer of your business, you are authorizing your business to take on that loan. Okay, so that's you or whomever signing on behalf of the small business. Okay, so that's this sheet, and of course the lender has this on hand for their records. Okay, so that's the third one. And the fourth I'm going to talk about is the privacy notice, the GLBA. That's the Graham-Leachy-Bliley Act, GLBA privacy notice. And this is just a privacy notice to let you know what is done with your information. It's just a privacy notice to protect your information. Okay. All right, and then the last is the loan note itself. Okay, this is by the loan note authorized by the SBA, where it'll have your SBA loan number. That's a 10-digit number, by the way, that the SBA gives out. The SBA loan name, the type of name, that'll be your company name, by the way. The date and the loan amount, the interest rate. Again, like I've said, it's 1% per year, and the borrower, and the name of the lender. In this case. So, and it's basically a promise to pay, along with the standard definitions and payment terms. Okay, so again, the repayment forgiveness guidance, that's a separate video, and there's more information coming out of that, such as how do you calculate full-time equivalent employees, how do you gather your materials to submit to your lender or bank to get forgiveness, right? That's a separate process. But this goes over the payment terms. You have 6 months from the date here, and the interest is fixed at 1% per annum, and no prepayment penalties apply. Then it has all of the default caveats, to basically say you will be in default if any of these apply to you, and the lender's rights if there is a default. Okay, so what your lender can ask of you, and what the general powers are for the lender. Okay, so it's worth obviously reading all of these documents carefully before you sign them, even though they're often DocuSigns, and so you're kind of skip through the document just to initial or sign, but don't do that. Read the document thoroughly, just so, so you know exactly what you're signing. I mean, this is just life advice. Okay, so those are the five documents. So again, there are still banks that are processing them and lenders processing them quite quickly because there is still money available. So it's something to consider. And I think the biggest question is, again, around forgiveness. So stay tuned for that video. I hope this is helpful. Hope you are all staying safe, healthy, and if you can, staying home.